So I want to read you guys this real quick. I play to win, whether during practice or a real game, and I will not let anything get in my way in my competitive enthusiasm to win. That's from Michael Jordan. So I say that because that's the difference between a high-level good athlete versus elite-level great athlete. Welcome to the OTA podcast, where we discuss everything performance training. I'm Coach Chris Barnard. Let's get into it. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the OTA podcast. I'm your host, Chris Barnard, and for today's podcast, what I want to touch on and discuss is just a discussion I had with my videographer, Jordan. I appreciate him. Shout out to him. And one thing that we were discussing, what separates, right, those high-level athletes versus the actual 1%, the very top elite athletes that are making an impact in the game. And the starters, the ones that are on the all-stars, the ones that are really doing it, versus, other athletes who in training can appear to have all the same athleticism, all the same attributes, might even be bigger, faster, stronger. But what separates that athlete who's actually playing on the field and really dominating in their sport? Now, I thought this was fascinating because from my perspective, I've seen this over and over again at the youth, high school, collegiate, and the professional level. And I've got to a point in experience, I guess you could say, in my evolution as a coach, where I can kind of start to identify who's going to make it to the top versus who isn't. I'm not saying that this is a tried and true formula. It's just from my experience, the tendencies that I tend to see. And remember, I've worked with quite a few athletes from the high school to the professional level. And there's been some athletes that never expected them to even play college and ended up playing pro. And these are some of the things that I noticed. So I'm just going to share two things, what I think are kind of a litmus test or marker for me. Number one, it's the athlete's ability to consistently be present. Now, I know that this might come across as a little bit esoteric, but now we're in 2024 and, there's many different ways for us to kind of slow down the mind chatter, that incessant mind stream, and for us to be able to kind of really slow that down and allow you to be in your body and allow you to be present with what's going on. When a lot of these athletes talk about the mindset and they talk about a Kobe and a Jordan, what they don't realize is those guys were just extremely present. They weren't really worried about what they just did or worried about what's going to happen. They're locked in on right now. So when they come to me for these training sessions, I could tell those athletes who are comfortable and present, and they're not thinking and overthinking about all these things in their mind. They're just completely locked in the moment that they're in the rep by rep, right? Or the movement that they're doing in that particular time. That's something that I typically see. And I got to put that as number one because usually those athletes can do that. The good news is if you're an athlete, if you were to focus more on that and you were to focus more on getting present, it's something that you can improve. Simple breathing techniques, simple meditation, things that allow you to get more in that flow state. The more that you're consciously being able to allow yourself to get into that present moment will continue to support you not only in your training, in your practice, in your skill work, which will then translate over to the field, court, or whatever sport it is you're playing. And the more locked in that you can be, as opposed to worried about, the shot you just missed or the strikeout you just had, and then not worry about the next move that's made, and you're able to just kind of lock in and compete, the better off you're going to be, because that's what the greats possessed. What's up, coaches? Real quickly, let me go ahead and introduce you to Performance Coach U certification. Now, this is the certification / course that I put together for coaches who want to train athletes and not only get results, but also maximize profits in the private sector. The problem that I saw with a lot of these courses and certifications out there for coaches was that they provided a lot of information and not a lot of application. So I wanted to pull back the covers over 10+ years of experience and show you the ins and outs of actually being in the trenches so that you get maximum results while also scaling your business. So if you're interested in this, go ahead and check out the link down below and you can get more information. The second thing, and it kind of goes hand in hand, is the athletes that are just gritty dogs that compete. Okay, and let me kind of expand on this. There's athletes that like to look good and like to go through all the motions in training. And there's just athletes with this internal, drive. It's not a motivation. Motivation will get you up through high school and collegiate years. And it's not to say some of these athletes don't have motivation, but it's like something else takes over and they just have a grittiness about them where they want to dominate. They want to win. And so whether it be something that they're doing, on their own in training, they're trying to compete against themselves. I'm not just talking about the competition that when I pin them against each other and they're running like a relay, right? The lights come on and they like to go, trust me. But there's a different level of competition. What I notice about these athletes is even if they suck at the thing that we're doing, they don't shy away from the competition. They don't shy away from the drill. They don't just focus on the things that they're good at. They're trying to compete in every facet of the training session. And they're trying to raise everybody else's level up. And they do that consistently. So recently, last week, I was working with a group of CFL athletes that came into town. And one of the things that I talked about was just this. I was like, I'm not going to get too philosophical. I'm just going to mention you guys, like, just compete today. And the biggest thing, that message I was trying to get across is like, we're now in a day and age where everybody understands you have to put in the work. Everybody's putting in the work. Everybody has the same 24 hours in the day, right? You can't train for 10 hours a day. If you're checking all those boxes in recovery, you're hitting all your nutritional, which a bigger percentage. When I first got in this game, the recovery, the nutrition side was like, it was just absent. It was more about the training. Now, with technology and our connection, everybody understands what kind of approach you have to have. So everybody's training, everybody's recovering. It's all at our fingertips. Everybody knows the nutrition they have to follow. First hump you got to get over is doing that consistently. Then the second missing key is when you're doing that, when you're actually doing your work, are you competing? Are you competing? Are you driving it forward? Because there's a difference when you have intent and focus during competition and you're presently trying to compete versus if you're just checking the box. I used to always say, check the box, whether you feel like it or not. But it's like so many athletes are doing that now. So what's going to separate you? Are you present for that day? And are you giving it the most you can and competing with intent and focus? Again, if you did 6 reps last week, are you going for 8 this week? If you're in a drill versus another athlete, are you not worried what you look like? I was talking with the college basketball coach the other day. It's like some of these guys are more concerned about getting like crossed over on film than they are to actually rip and steal the ball and win the game. As long as they look good, like I see guys put highlight tapes of losses. It's like, what are we talking about? What kind of selfish era are we in? Like, if you really want to make it to the elite, it's like you're focused about the numbers on the scoreboard and stacking W's. You're not worried about how you look on an Instagram edit. And if you are, I'm just going to let you know right now, you're probably not going to get to that 1%. You're not going to get to that elite level until you start worrying about the W's on the board and stop focusing about what you look like, right? Because that's the same energy in that training session I was talking about. When you compete, you're not worried about what you look like. You're worried about if you won or not. You're worried about dominating. That's what this game is about. That's what this game is about. So as long as you get that and you understand that and you nail that down, if you can get more presence is going to allow you to compete better, not worry about what you look like, not worry about what you did, not worry about what's ahead, and have you focused right now, giving all maximal effort, intent in that particular repetition and doing the best that you can to compete and get a W by any means necessary. That energy is what's going to carry you to the elite levels. So I hope this helps. I know it's kind of a little bit of a tangent, but I just thought this was a fascinating conversation. This might change in 5 years, but this is my experience right now. This is my evolution in coaching. I've seen this from the youth all the way up to the professional levels. What's that one thing they possess? 2 things, 3 things that they possess. It's that presence. It's that grittiness to compete and win. Focus on those things, and I believe you'll get to the next level. I'll see you guys next time.